Hey everyone, and welcome back. Something I've been thinking about lately.
Let's hear it.
Well, it's this whole idea of trust, especially at work.
Mm.
Seems like every article I read, every conversation I have, it always circles back to that.
It's the foundation, isn't it? Like, without trust, everything else just kind of crumbles. And you've got some fascinating research lined up for us today, all about building that trust.
I do. We're diving deep into 5 key tips, and honestly, I'm excited to hear your take on all this.
We'll fire away. What's first?
All right, so tip number 1 is all about consistency.
Consistency, the cornerstone of trust. It's like when you're consistent, you become predictable in a good way.
Right, like people know what to expect from you, no surprises, no hidden agendas.
Exactly. And that predictability builds confidence. It tells people, hey, I can rely on this person. They do what they say they'll do.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
But let's be real, we're all human, right?
Yeah.
There are times when, well, I know I've dropped the ball, missed a deadline.
It happens. We've all been there. But it's what you do next that really matters.
Oh. So it's not about being perfect, more about how you handle those slip-ups.
You got it. Owning your mistakes, communicating openly about challenges, that's what shows true accountability.
Okay, so honesty, even when it's tough, that's key.
Mm.
Which brings us to tip number 2, open communication,
The lifeblood of any healthy relationship, especially in the workplace.
right? And it's not just about avoiding gossip, although that's important too.
It's bigger than that. It's about proactively keeping people in the loop, sharing information relevant to their work, being transparent about
Yeah.
decisions.
No one likes feeling left out or worse, lied to. Transparency builds that foundation of trust we were just talking about.
Absolutely. And you know what's interesting? Studies have actually shown a direct link between open communication and team performance.
Really? Tell me more.
One study by Harvard Business Review found that teams who prioritized open communication were significantly more likely to hit their goals, like 20% more likely.
Wow, 20%. That's huge. All right, I'm convinced. Open and honest communication it is. But, sometimes admitting when we've messed up, that could be hard. Which brings us to tip number 3, owning our mistakes.
This one is so important, but often so difficult. No one enjoys admitting fault, right?
Right. Especially in a work setting, it can feel like you're putting your vulnerability on display.
It's true. But here's the thing. When you own your mistakes, you actually gain respect. It shows you're accountable. You're willing to learn from your missteps.
It's like that saying, we learn more from our failures than our successes.
Exactly. And when you model that kind of humility, it creates a space for others to do the same. It fosters a culture of learning and growth.
I love that. Okay, moving on to tip number 4, and this one feels good. Appreciation.
Everyone loves to feel appreciated, right? It's like a breath of fresh air in the workplace.
It really is.
Yeah.
But how does that tie back to building trust?
Think about it. When you feel genuinely appreciated, it tells you that your work matters, that you matter. That sense of value creates a more positive and trusting environment.
It's like you're saying, hey, I see you, I value your contributions. Powerful stuff.
It really is. And it doesn't have to be complicated. A simple thank you, acknowledging someone's hard work, those small gestures can go a long way.
They really can. Okay, on to our final tip. And this one seems like a no-brainer. Respecting confidentiality.
This one's crucial. Because once trust is broken, it can be really hard to rebuild.
Exactly. And it's not just about avoiding office gossip, well, that's important too. It's about handling sensitive information with care.
Precisely. It's about being someone your colleagues can confide in, knowing that you'll treat their trust with respect.
So if we're building that trust foundation, respecting confidentiality is like reinforcing the walls, making it strong and secure.
I like that analogy. You've got it.
So we've covered a lot. Consistency, open communication, owning mistakes, appreciation, and respecting confidentiality. What a lineup.
It's a recipe for success, isn't it? And honestly, all of these tips are intertwined.
They really are.
Yeah.
It's like weaving a tapestry, each thread strengthening the overall structure. But if you had to pick one, just one, as the most crucial element, what would it be?
Ooh, that's tough. But if I had to choose, I'd say consistency is the cornerstone. It's the bedrock upon which all the other tips rest. Without it, the others might not have the same impact.
Makes sense. You've given us a lot to think about today. So for our listeners who are ready to start cultivating a more trusting work environment, where should they begin? What's one small step they can take today?
That's a great question. You know, sometimes the simplest actions speak the loudest. I encourage your listeners to reflect on their own behavior. Ask yourself, what can I do today to be more consistent, communicative, or appreciative in my workplace interactions? Even small gestures can make a big difference.
Small steps, big impact. I love that. Thanks for diving into this with me today. And for our listeners, keep those trust-building tips in mind, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.